Okay, as you can see, the gravel road turns back into paved road, heading back into Cataloochee. We are now on Cataloochee Entrance Road. As you can probably tell from that video clip, I'm headed to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which is located on the border between North Carolina and Tennessee. More specifically, as the red arrow indicates, I am headed to the eastern end of the park into the Cataloochee area. The route I've chosen is a loop hike at the southern end of the Cataloochee Valley. On day 1, I will start with 3.1 miles on Big Fork Loop Trail, with a total ascent of nearly 1,200 feet. This brings me to the Caldwell Fork Trail, on which I will travel 1.6 miles to reach campsite 41. On day 2, I will continue on westward on the Caldwell Fork Trail for 1.5 miles before turning north on the Rough Fork Trail for 2.9 miles to reach my car back where I started on day 1. Okay, we are about 5:30, so I got about 2 hours of daylight. I'm going to do a bit of, sorry for the poor lighting, but I'm going to be doing a bit of flashlight hiking. Fortunately, I remembered to bring one. In fact, I'm going to grab one more. Okay. First, just getting started here. All right. First bridge. Let's see where we're at. Well, that's got to be it. Yep, this is it. Big Fork Ridge Trail. Always comforting when it agrees. As you can see, the trail is just a touch damp. Even worse, uphill. This is going to be the most submerged I've ever been on a hike because all the trails are turning into rivers. That's all right. Actually, it was only like that at the beginning. Even with the hardships, there's nothing that gives you quite the peace and the joy. Oh, we have wild turkey up ahead. In the time it took for me to switch the camera to the front, the turkey had wandered out of sight. Okay. If we look around here, we have some, already we have some Christmas ferns. You can see the shape right there at the base. We also, if we look over just a little bit, looks like we have, I believe that's the rattlesnake plantain. There's another one similar, the striped wintergreen, but I believe that one's rattlesnake plantain. As you can see, we have some really beautiful early spring flowers here. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's the halberd leaf yellow violet. Okay. We are a bit further along, maybe another quarter mile. But I've been seeing lots more of the Christmas fern and partridge berry, as well as our other spring flowers that we were showing you earlier. Amazing how it has the audacity to just keep going up and up and up. As I mentioned in one of my earlier hiking videos, I'm astounded at the geological phenomena where the crust of the earth is moving, making the trail steeper every year. Somebody's got to fix that.
Oh, more and more and more partridge berry. Okay, we may not have quite reached the top, but we are at least to the point where I'm not looking for pitons and harnesses to see if I can make it. At least it's leveled out that much. Ooh, I think we have here. We saw the rattlesnake plantain earlier. I believe that's striped wintergreen. Really a pretty plant. That and the rattlesnake plantain, both really pretty. Now here's some rattlesnake plantain to compare it with. You can see that much more intricate webbing on the rattlesnake plantain. Now, what's interesting is I have not seen nearly as much of that really reddish, pretty shelf fungi, hemlock varnish, I believe it is. I've not seen much of anything in the way of fungi yet. Although, as I say that, I think we have some squaw root there, at least starting to come up. And on we go. And as you see, we have another early spring beauty. Get it in focus there.
I'm not familiar with this one, but I believe it's the mountain thimbleweed windflower.
And it's getting later in the day here. Just getting ready to round another corner. Ever hopeful that we're going to start the descent down the other side to hit the Caldwell Trail. Oh, one more to go. And let's see where we're at. Aha! We have reached the summit of the pass, the gap, and now get to head downhill towards Caldwell in the gathering gloom, or darkness anyway. For those of you who are familiar with McManus, you can see the darkness oozing out of the crevices. Time to wind up the mainspring. I forgot to mention, one of my goals in taking this early spring hike, we're still here at the end of March, just barely, a few days left. I was hoping to catch some of the wildflowers that I had missed last summer when my first hike was in May. So I'm thinking, man, I need to get in here a bit earlier. So far, I've seen a few, but I'm still hopeful that we might see yet more. So keeping my eyes out to see what we can locate. Look at some of the ferns. You can see there is just no end. It is just truly beautiful. You can see this one here. There, let's see if I can get a little closer.
I believe this is the mountain wood fern.
So as you're looking at this scenery, even if you weren't to see any blooms, it would still be gorgeous. There is no substitute for getting out in the beautiful mountainous nature. Such a wonderful, wonderful place. But now that we're going downhill, I need to get cooking here so I don't have too much night hiking to do. It is just spectacular scenery, isn't it? Going through these trenches. Okay, we are coming up. Let's see, I think we're just about down to the bottom here. Okay, guess what I think? I think we've reached the bottom of the descent. You know what that means when there's no more descent. Everybody loves you. Yeah, sure enough. They were kind enough to provide us a bridge. With no violin to put it on. That is always worth it, isn't it? All the climbing and hiking. Just can't get better. On with the trail.
For those of you who are used to watching those backpacking videos, you know they always have those dramatic walking past the camera scenes. Well, here's mine.
Okay, just about 50, 70 yards past the bridge, the last bridge. Aha! You can see that is heading to the trailhead where that comes off of Cataloochee Road. So it's 3.1 miles we just did. That's the direction we just came from. The bridge we came over. It's about 70 yards back that way. And now we are going to go this way. Caldwell Fork Trail. We're going to hit our campsite before too long. Well, just finished a nice little crossing. A second crossing, only this one had no bridge. But still have a little bit to go. As you can see, portions of a mile to go before I sleep. Well, almost 8 o'clock, 5 till. And the last little bits of light are starting to fade. And once again, we come to another unbridged, with no bridge, crossing. As you can see, we've had a good bit of rain lately, so things are a little higher than normal, which means I could very easily go over my boots. Unless I pick my route carefully, which I think I can do. Otherwise, I'll have wet feet at camp.
Now, I'll admit, this doesn't look much worse than 2 or 3 inch trickle. But I'm telling you, when I was there, I could see multiple places where I could slip going up over my boot top up to my calf. It never ceases to amaze me how much less intense something looks on video.
Alright. Always nice to make it across without getting water inside the Gore-Tex. Now, as promised, here is the trail. As you can see, we are still on Caldwell Fork Trail. And as you can see, we got a little bit more to go to the right. That's it, Hemp Hill. So that's Hemp Hill going off in that direction. We're going to continue on straight Caldwell, campsite 41s. You can see the last little bit of twilight there. Campsite 41's just a few hundred feet, I think. Yep. Campsite 41. About, like I was saying, 300 feet or so beyond that last intersection. You can see we got a campfire here. We're gonna look around, see if we can find our bear poles. Bear lines, I should say. And I'm gonna set up the hammock, drink some water, and just go right to sleep, I think. Because I want to get up early. There's supposedly a storm heading in by tomorrow noon. So we'll just see where the bear poles are. Alright, here you can see up in the distance I see a flickering fire. So I'll probably stop recording so we don't invade their privacy too badly. Just want to see where the bear lines are. Well, it's 8:42, and turns out I was able to make it all the way here with just the last little remnants of twilight, the tiniest little bit. Didn't have to use the flashlight at all until now. I was going to immediately set up the hammock, which I did. Then I was going to cook dinner, eat, and get right to bed. But for lunch, I stopped by the Thai place. And I had such a big serving, I was so full, so I just drank some water, and I'm good. So I'm going to set the alarm here for early in the morning. I want to get out early because I understand there's supposed to be some rain coming in around, I think it's around 10 or 11, for starting at 5:30 instead of at 3:30, and getting here without having to use a flashlight. I'm rather pleased. Okay, it is Saturday morning, great beginning to the Sabbath.
As you may have gathered from the previous clip, I had two other campers at the campsite with me, and I was the first one up, so I had to be pretty quiet. But as you can see from this view, there's really everything you'd need for a campsite. I mean, tents, plenty of places for tents or hammocks, right near the water. Really couldn't ask for much better. And I'll take you down to the creek side here to show you what we had available. Now, as you may have seen from some still shots that I've inserted, or will insert, this is one of the most soothing, most beautiful things, is to look at a waterfall or cascading stream. And this makes the perfect spot to have breakfast. You'll see what I'm talking about here.
how beautiful as this area was and as nice as it was to enjoy a peaceful breakfast with one of the most immersive 3D relaxation scenarios. Too bad we can't come and do this every morning before we head off to work and do whatever we need to do. But we need to go back, break down camp, and start heading out.
Actually, the next thing I needed to do was to filter some water. While I didn't use all that much on the way in, I still wanted to have at least a full liter before heading out. I would usually have a little more than that, except I'm hiking by streams almost the whole way back, so a liter was plenty. Although it doesn't seem all that exciting to filter water, you have to be a little bit careful, or it can become exciting. As late as it was when I came into camp the evening before, I didn't cover the setting up or film the setting up of the hammock. This was the sway hammock, the Era model. It's got that really nice integrated underquilt and overquilt. You just lie down and zip it up over top of you. And basically I just had a jacket, sweatshirt, and just slept like that without any additional insulation. And it got down to a little under 40, so just barely comfortable. And that's without any other insulation, just that jacket that I wore on the way in or had in my backpack. So pretty impressive for something that's all integrated into one. And only weighs 3.1 pounds. That's everything. The hammock, the rain fly, everything. Not bad at all.
Okay, one thing I forgot to do was to send my "I'm starting hiking for the day" email using the inReach off the Garmin 66i. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Let them know. Starting today's hike. And send message. Alright, now we put this back up where it goes in, up here. Okay, I just sent the inReach text message to my wife and family to let them know I'm starting the hike, and we're going to take off here. I've seen a few of these as I've been hiking along here. I'm wondering if they're just leftovers of a previous settlement, or person was living here at some time trying to get things ready to build a house, build a fence or something. But I've seen several of these. These are just big piles of stone sitting next to a tree. Big moss covered, big pile there. I have several trees I've seen like that in the past quarter mile. Interesting. Okay, we are coming up on a intersection here. Let's see what we got. Big poplars. I don't think that's what I want. This is time for me to pull out the GPS and make sure I'm still on the right trail. Well, I checked, and sure enough, Big Poplars is just a separate little offshoot, something I don't want. I want to stay on the Caldwell Trail. But I did see something interesting. So, instead of going to Big Poplars, going along, and here's something. So, instead of Big Poplar, we'll keep going, but here's something that, thanks to Adventure Archives, they were identified this fungus that causes that bluish stain to it.
Oddly enough, it's called the blue stain fungus.
Here's another little beauty spring flower that you'll remember.
This one is called the Carolina Spring Beauty, I believe.
A little further along our way on Caldwell Fork Trail. And I just love this scenery where the trails just kind of snake off into the distance. And of course, as you can see, we've got just full of these flowers here, just gorgeous.
Just a few yards further down the trail, we ran across some more interesting plants, like this mountain thimbleweed. And some club mosses. We have some shining club moss surrounded by ground cedar. We also have, I believe this one is the sharp-lobed hepatica.
Okay, I just had the GPS ringer go off. I set a waypoint for our intersection with the Rough Fork Trail, so my guess is it's right up ahead. We get to Rough Fork Trail. I think it's just around the next corner, so I'll just go ahead and switch the camera. Yep, I see the sign. And this trail, when I looked at it on the map, I didn't really pay close attention to the iso lines. I didn't realize when it went around following the creek that it jotted all the way up here to the top of the mountain to do it. That was a nice surprise. Rough Fork Trail, heading roughly north-ish. Northeast overall, back to our camping spot, or excuse me, parking spot, and back to the car. And unfortunately, both civilization. As you can see, we are looking down Rough Fork Trail, about maybe 50 yards, 100 yards from the intersection with Caldwell. I didn't realize it was going right along the ridge. You can see looking down, way down into the depths over there, down off in that direction as well, over the other edge. We have been continually descending since we hit the Rough Fork Trail. Never has a letdown in elevation been so welcome. As you can see, we get to see some of the other ridges close by. Okay, remember how I said there was some weather coming in? The wind has picked up, and even though we have some light over here to the right, you can see it's much darker over there. It's coming in from that side, and the brightness is leaving us over here, so I need to pick up the pace and various other picante sauce. Well, as you can see, it happened. I spoke too soon, About saying I can get back to the car in time, and sure enough, it started to sprinkle already. So I had to break out the poncho. Okay, it's still raining cats and dogs, but we're passing by a house, and I forgot to check which house this is. I'm going to see if I can shade or protect the phone from the rain here so we get in position where we can see the house. So there you can see somebody's house. I'll bet there's a sign here coming up. Sure enough. The Woody House. Okay, we're about a quarter mile past the Woody House, and we're finally reaching the first bridge on the Rough Fork Trail as we're coming close to our parking spot there at Cataloochee. Oh, glad they got a bridge on that one. Did not want to wade that. Ah, more and more sun. I like that. Okay, that was a surprise. All of a sudden there on my left, we have a big herd of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, you can see them all throughout there, back there. And they were only about, maybe 100 feet from me when I saw them on the left. They popped up and looked at me. So I went off the trail, further away from and around. Okay, that was fun with the elk. That was a bit of a surprise. But I think we're coming right up here. I think we're reaching the end of the trail. And the car. And sit down and relax. Drink some water. And have a pleasant trip home.
As you might expect, this trip had many similarities with my Deep Creek and Abrams Falls backpacking trips. However, I find it is that unique blend of the new and unexpected with the familiar that makes an experience truly special.
Oh boy, look, even at the car, we have some elk here.
She been over in? Yeah.
Okay, bugs are pretty thick here at the moment, but that's better. As you can see, that was an awfully good hike. It is worth all the, just here the last few minutes, the bugs. So other than that, hardly any on the trail. Just a beautiful, beautiful hike. About half an hour really of the drizzle and heavy rain. That one surprise with the elk at the end. Other than that, just nothing but just beautiful, relaxing scenes, other than the uphills that made you cry. But other than that, just fantastic. I mean, look behind me. What a wonderful way to spend the Sabbath hours.
I had just finished putting everything into the car after the last video clip and was about to drive off when this elk walks around the car as if it couldn't care less that I was there. Obviously, as the posted signs state, the elk, especially in fall, can be very dangerous. Thus, I did my filming from the vehicle. I did not have my good telephoto lens with me, so I have to admit it was very accommodating of the elk to come so close.